begin tonight with what was scheduled to be a debate on Proposition 133, a measure referred to the ballot by state lawmakers that would require partisan primary elections and prohibit primaries that allow candidates to compete regardless of party affiliation. Here to speak against the measure is Chuck Coughlin, President and CEO of High Ground Consulting. We reached out to numerous supporters of the proposition, but none accepted our invitation to appear. Chuck, good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Ted.
Proposition 133 is not a good thing for Arizona in your mind because?
Well, it institutionalizes the current system we have today, which is a partisan primary where only partisan candidates can run and only partisan candidates can compete. A third of the Arizona electorate today is independent. It is the fastest growing part of the electorate today. More and more people are not registering with either party, and we would like to see those candidates included. For one of those candidates to run today, they need to collect 6 times as many signatures as a partisan candidate. So level the playing field, put everybody on the same ballot, let them all compete. That's the opposite of what this initiative would do.
And this initiative also would forbid open primaries, but also outlaw ranked choice voting. Again, your thoughts on that?
Well, we don't advocate in Prop 140, which is later, we don't advocate for a specific method of a general election. We thought that's probably a bridge too far. We just want to create an open primary. And so what we do is we instruct the legislature to move as many as 5, so they could move as many of the top 5 vote getters forward, or as few as 2, so they could move the top 2 forward. If they move more than 3, which we said you need to rank the ballot, because we want that winning candidate to represent a majority of the electorate. I don't want nobody wants somebody winning as what they do today in many, many primaries with less than 30% of the vote. We had 2 primaries in this last cycle, 3 actually, where there were the winning candidates. 2 of the candidates now are unquestionably going to be Congress people, got elected with less than 30% of the electorate. We think that's just a disappointment. We want more people to make those decisions.
And you mentioned Prop 40, and this was referred, and most people believe this was referred by lawmakers to counter Prop 140. Your thoughts on that particular strategy?
Well, I welcome it because it gives voters a clear contrast on, change or status quo. And if you're happy with the status quo, then go ahead and vote for that system. If you're not, then you should embrace Prop 140. I think they put it on. As we all know, the legislature is dominated by the very people who get elected in these very partisan primaries. There's 30 legislative districts in our state, and there's only 4 truly competitive districts. The rest of them all get elected in primaries.
And yet what you previously described with ranked choice voting and how Prop 140 in particular would go in that direction if X, Y, and Z were to happen first, what the folks I think at Prop 133 would tell you is we don't even need to go down that road. That's confusing. It's not necessary. People know what's going on right now. They may not like it, but they know what's going on right now. It's simple. It's easy. Do they have a point?
Move along, Ted. Everything's working just fine. If you believe our system's working just fine, I would agree with you. I don't agree with you. I think our system is not working well. It doesn't reflect our American economic model of competition. Our American economic model is about competition. It's about rewarding competition. Competition produces better candidates, better results, better Arizona. This system diminishes competition.
Prop 133 would supersede any nonpartisan, any city charter, any law, any rule, any ordinance, et cetera, its wherefores and whatnot. It supersedes all of it, again, in the idea of making everything the same. And they would argue, I would imagine, increasing the competition you just referred to things like city races, where you often don't see political affiliation.
Because everybody today, Ted, thinks cities are just run terribly. I mean, all the data points that we get back when we're doing survey work is that everybody really embraces how their cities are operating, by and large. Most people approve of how their cities are being run. Well, what's the difference? It's non-partisan election. It's doing exactly what Prop 140 would do, allowing everybody to compete, pick the best candidates, and then a number of them move on. And this prop would change all that. It could potentially require partisan elections for every city in the state.
For those who say parties have a right to allow only their members to decide who from the party gets to represent them, how do you respond to that?
Well, then go campaign for that. Then go campaign for your nominee. If you're running as a Democratic nominee and you get the party's endorsement, they're a private organization. They do not own a piece of the public ballot. They should be able to campaign privately for their nominee. I agree with that. I think this strengthens, the Prop 140, I believe, strengthens partisan politics because it empowers parties to pick their candidate that then they go campaign for. They have to have a piece. They're not obligated. We're not giving them a piece of our ballot. They have to earn it.
I think the argument, again, with the other side would be that if I'm a Democrat or a Republican running for office, I want my fellow Democrats and Republicans to send me to the office. I don't want Democrat here or Republican there crashing the party and doing you-know-what in the punch bowl.
Well, the Constitution never said anything like that. George Washington never said anything like that. John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, nobody said you have a right as a partisan candidate to a piece of the franchise. It said compete. Just let people compete. And this is an American tradition of open competition.
So when they argue primaries are party elections, they're party elections. They're not, a public election. You say,
I agree. That's the way they've monopolized it. We've allowed them to monopolize our taxpayer dollars. So as an independent, which I am, I'm a PND, I'm paying for your partisan election. What sense does that make? Why should I use my taxpayer dollars to pay for your private party elections? That doesn't make any sense.
Not my party here. Don't be pointing at me over here.
You're wearing the coat of mine.
And the idea, again, would be, what's the point of a party if the party can't select its own candidate?
It is debate. It is open and honest debate, and they can have a debate within their private party about who they want to nominate and who they want to campaign for. It doesn't entitle them to a place on a selective ballot where every other voter is discriminated, and it makes harder for people not a member of their party to compete.
Last question. If let's say Prop 133 and Prop 140, which is the one that you call for open primaries, this says no open primaries, yours says open. What if they both pass?
The one with the most votes wins.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes. So we would encourage people to vote for Prop 140
yeah,
and oppose Prop 133. Our polling data says that's what's going to happen. Most people understand the inequities of our current system today. They embrace fairness. That's why we call it Make Elections Fair, and allow people to compete. And that's why we're confident in the outcome that we'll have in November.
Chuck Coughlin speaking against Proposition 133. Chuck, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ted.